notion that that was so, his enjoyment becomes the cause of the next body. Because my enjoyment is entirely tied to matter. The result of that enjoyment is I have to come back. In lifetime after lifetime. Therefore, dukkha yoga. Source of life, etc. General future, yeah. And I was just accepting for the sake of argument that someone just enjoys and doesn't suffer in this lifetime. Find me that person. Samsparshaja bhoga dukkha. We see that, practically speaking, those who are intent on enjoying this lifetime end up suffering. It's like a coin. You can't just pick up the head side. The tail side comes with it. Along with sense gratification comes misery. And even if we say, oh no, it's not miserable, anyantavanta, it has a beginning and end. It will be finished. Therefore, insubstantial. Like a dream. Here today, here for a moment, and you're gone. Nateshu ramte bhutta. Therefore, an intelligent person doesn't take pleasure in that kind of happiness. Ramante yogino ramte satyananda chidata. Iti ramapadena so paramam. Intelligent persons find pleasure in Krishna, in the service of Krishna, where there's unlimited happiness, brahmasokhyam. So, therefore, ultimately, Hiranyakashipu, for all of his enormous power, for all the opulence that he gained, was a fool. Because he was grasping at something where there was no substantial enjoyment, something that wouldn't last, something that's simply a creation of the inferior energy without real substance. Such are the demons. Instead of grasping at the lotus feet of Krishna, what is that? Instead of grasping for the substance, they're grasping for the illusion. And if they get it, they think they got something. That's the solution. The point Srila Prabhupada makes here is a point about epistemology for those who like big words. That is how we know things, how we get knowledge, what is our source of knowledge. For the materialists, the sense perception is source of knowledge. We rely on what we can detect with our senses. That's what we consider evidence. And we exclude that which is not available to our senses as being out of the picture of that, deserving to be taken seriously. But here, Srila Prabhupada points out the fundamental defect in evidence gathered by sense perception. The senses are imperfect. They're unreliable. They're limited. Prabhupada gives various examples. You put a piece of paper in front of your eye, and you can't see anything. You can't forget the paper. You can't see your eyelid, which is the closest thing to your eye. There are so many things that the eye can't see. Even the human eye, the vulture's eye, is far better. It can see from miles up. Of course, Prabhupada points out that what it sees is the dead body, that's what it's looking for. It has far better vision, which turned around means we have far worse vision. Our vision is poor. and poor and imperfect, therefore we try to improve it with telescopes, microscopes, and so on. But it finally has to be evaluated by the same imperfect apparatus, and the extension is also imperfect because it's created by those who are imperfect. So we see something, but there's so many things that we don't see. There's so many things that we don't see. You can ask the scientists, he said, we only believe in what we can see. Can we see your intelligence, sir? No, I don't believe it. You don't have intelligence because I can't see it. Seeing is believing, but so often what we see is not true. Just because we saw it on television doesn't mean it's real. I was in the airport and there was some advertisement for Turkish tourism which showed a woman floating through the air and a horse jumping over a large suspension bridge and all sorts of wonderful things. I saw it on television, it must be real. The same place where I saw them land on the moon. So, seeing is sometimes believing, sometimes deserving of belief, sometimes not. You know they lost the films, by the way? NASA spaced out. The greatest event in the history of mankind was the ultimate dream that man stepped foot on the moon. And all the original video footage of those Apollo missions has been misplaced. So, Hare Krishna. And whatever was seen, no, who knows? You can't see the originals because they're gone. That means imperfect. There are 4 defects. Well, imperfect senses. Even taking it as, all right, they lost them, that's a tendency to make mistakes. Or if you don't believe that it was an honest mistake, then it's a cheating propensity. Either way, they're damned any way that you look at it. Either they're cheating, or they just have an enormous tendency to make mistakes. They've lost the greatest video footage in history. And how much did that footage cost us? It didn't cost you anything, you're British, but for me, it didn't cost me anything. I don't pay taxes. For American taxpayer, the dust and the videos, that's basically all we got. And they lost it. Imperfect senses, tendency to make mistakes, tendency to fall into illusion, and a cheating propensity. With these 4 defects, no one can get perfect knowledge. These are the natural limits of the empiric method. Getting everything, figuring everything out by visual inspection and